mighty big trip for some mighty little folks begins in Seoul, Korea, where a dozen orphans board a plane for the United States. Most of them are being adopted by an American after 5 months of red tape. Harry Holt, 50, has 6 tots already, is adopting 8 tiny Koreans and taking 4 to other Americans. After 6,000 miles and several hundred diapers, they all arrive. Holt's wife welcomes him at Portland, Oregon, and other prospective foster parents greet their youngsters from far away. It took an act of Congress for the Holt's to adopt so many. They did it after seeing films of abandoned Korean children. And 8 cribs are waiting at the Oregon farm of Mr. and Mrs. Holt, who had room in their house and their hearts. At Fitzsimmons Army Hospital in Denver, President Eisenhower gets a big greeting from other patients on his 65th birthday. Making steady progress back to health, the president is wheeled to a terrace where he jauntily waves his golfing cap while the cameras photograph him for the first time since his heart attack. Worldwide messages wish a speedy recovery to the president. Rivers on a rampage swollen by 4 days of torrential rain, spreading death and devastation across 6 northeastern states. A grim and familiar story in areas ravaged by the fierce floodwaters of Hurricane Diane only 2 months before. Churned into fury by the near-record rainfall of a freak cyclonic storm, cascading currents surged over their banks in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Connecticut, still digging out from the disastrous Diane floods, is hardest hit. 66 cities and towns are engulfed by a sprawling wall of water. Residents are helpless before the widespread floods. Damage runs into the hundreds of millions of dollars. A freight train is derailed by a washout at Darien, Connecticut, as communication lines are disrupted. An amazing aerial scene shows a gaping hole ripped out below another section of tracks. Striking without warning, the terrifying torrents take more than 40 lives, swirling higher and higher, a rain-choked avalanche of water roaring across the countryside. 30,000 are homeless, heroism and tragedy entwined in the evacuation of the victims. Babes in arms clutching tightly to survivors are transferred to Coast Guard ducks that spearhead the Mercy Armada. Some are carried, others walk. The ducks ride easily in the angry water that leaves Stamford, Connecticut in shambles. GIs marooned on their truck, families cut off in their homes, wait for the craft that will speed them to higher ground. A moment of relief for rescuers and rescued, safe at last. Ahead is the momentous job of reconstruction, begun so hopefully 2 months ago. Although interrupted by new suffering and new heartbreak, it is a job that must and will be done.
Yale explodes against Cornell in the mud and gloom of the Yale Bowl. Quarterback Dean Laux hits end Vern Laux, no relation, and the Bulldogs score on the 4th play of the game. Moments later, Laux fades again and finds Paul Lopato on another Eli march. With only 6 minutes gone, Laux hands off to Al Ward, who skids through the sloppy going for the 2nd score. The rain-soaked, windswept crowd sees Cornell's Bill DeGraff, with a tackler hanging on his back, fire a desperation pass that's intercepted by Kurt Coker of Yale. The Eli fullback returns the ball to the Cornell 8. Taking a shovel pass, Ward sweeps right end for the 3rd Yale TD in 8 minutes. The rains and gales turn the field into a muddy morass as Cornell struggles to get back in the game. But Yale continues unbeaten, 34-6, as a pitch-out pays off for Cornell's one and only score. Another Ivy League Titan, unbeaten Princeton, meets Colgate in a driving rainstorm. Quarterback Guy Martin of Colgate defies the slippery going, pitching to Johnny Dow, who holds the ball but loses his balance. The heavy footing momentarily stalls the Colgate drive as Martin is dropped for a loss. But the never-say-die Martin tries again, and this time, just about to be tackled, he laterals to Johnny Call, who completes the brilliant thrust by carrying deep into Princeton territory. 4 plays later, Call wallows through the mud into the end zone. The fans, braving a drenching downpour, see the pigskin bound away from a Princeton back, but the Tigers recover for a long loss. Another bad pass from center sails goalward, eluding one player, bouncing into the end zone and squirting free again. Milt Graham finally recovers for another Colgate TD. Battling to the end to remain unbeaten, Princeton shakes Bill Danforth loose on a spectacular touchdown gallop in the goo. But it's too little and too late as Colgate's Red Raiders upset Princeton's surprise Tigers 15-6. Donald Campbell, British speedboat king, sees his jet-propelled hydroplane, the Bluebird, waterborne on Nevada's Lake Mead. Campbell is ready for an attempt to crack his own record of 202 miles an hour, also set in the Bluebird. The fastest boat in the world starts across the measured mile, but rough water and Sunday boatmen keep the speed down. 162 miles an hour is the best she'll do. Then, an accident. Boats cluster at the spot the Bluebird suddenly sank while being towed in. The 34-year-old Campbell is quickly rescued, but his $100,000 craft is at the bottom. Hours later, she's raised, but it will take 4 weeks before the Bluebird is ready to try again.